Hey everybody, so let's talk about Joe Biden. So on Sunday night, which is when I'm making this video, we found out that Joe Biden has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. It is metastasized. I want to read something very quickly from a statement from his personal office. Last week, President Joe Biden was seen for a new finding of a prostate nodule after experiencing increasing urinary symptoms. On Friday, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer characterized by a Gleason score of 9, grade group 5, with metastasis to the bone. Now, the statement added, while this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. And that's really all we know from a medical perspective right now about the diagnosis. But let's talk about what this is going to mean for a week in which Joe Biden was already going to be in the spotlight big time and not in a way that he or Democrats want him to be. So on Tuesday, May 20th, Original Sin, the book by CNN's Jake Tapper and Axios' Alex Thompson, which documents, and I have read it, documents the cover-up of Biden's condition, reporting on the fact that it was obvious, at least to some people who came into contact with Biden, that he was struggling physically and mentally, potentially as far back as 2017, but certainly in the last few years, starting in 2022, when many people describe that decline as increasing in evidence. What we know is that from the reporting in this book that it seems as though the people close to him engaged in a cover-up of this stuff, that they repeatedly kept from the public, the media, and even other people in the White House, they kept Biden and his condition a secret, even though, again, it seems to me relatively obvious based on what I know that anyone with a pair of eyes who was around and ears who was around Joe Biden regularly had real questions. That includes Democratic elected members of Congress, members of his cabinet, members of his staff, many of whom talked to Jake and Alex. So this was already going to be a giant story. The Sunday shows were filled with Democratic elected officials being asked about Joe Biden. What did they see? What did they know? Why didn't they speak out more? I think the 2028 hopefuls for the Democratic nomination are being faced with a slew of questions about what they knew and why they didn't say more. They are beginning, and some have already begun, to distance themselves from Biden. He shouldn't have been the nominee, he shouldn't have run, et cetera, et cetera. Although I would say, why didn't they say it at the time? And into all of that mix, by the way, we have the release on Friday night of the audio of the Hur report. So this is special counsel Robert Hur, who interviewed Joe Biden as part of the classified documents special counsel investigation. We knew that had not gone well, that interview. Hur basically refused to charge Biden because he said that a jury would see sort of an old man, well-meaning but with memory problems. The Biden people, all Democrats, resisted that. They attacked Robert Hur over and over again as this partisan. Well, it turns out, if you listen to the audio, that Robert Hur is being totally honest. Biden struggles to remember in the audio his when he was vice president, when his son Beau died, 2015. Other details. He repeats himself again and again. He can't find words. The audio is painful to listen to. He's really struggling in that audio. So you add all that in, and then you add this prostate cancer diagnosis. And to be honest, I don't know how this prostate cancer diagnosis plays. And let me say here, my job is to analyze the politics of all this. I would do that if it was a Republican or a Democrat. But I will say, as a human, I mean, of course I wish Joe Biden well. Just as I would wish President Trump well if he got this diagnosis, just as I would wish President George W. Bush or President Barack Obama or whoever. But in a political context, this diagnosis lands with the Hur audio having come out, which is pretty damning, with this book, Original Sin, set to come out, the excerpts of which are pretty damning. So what does this mean? Is there a sympathy piece here for Biden because he does have this diagnosis? Are some Democrats less willing to come out and be as forceful as they might have been without that? Do Republicans pull their punches a little bit, given that Biden has this diagnosis? Because I will tell you, Republicans were loaded for bear coming into this week about how to cast this as a cover-up, the biggest scandal since Watergate. Democrats knew about this. They say the media knew about it. I don't see that, but Democrats certainly knew, if they were paying attention, that Joe Biden definitely should not have run for a second term, but maybe should not have even been president in the last few years. of his first term. Does this leaven that criticism? Does it make it harder to criticize Joe Biden because he is an 82-year-old man with prostate cancer that has spread to his bones? I don't know. Our political environment 25 years ago, yes, it would. Our political environment today, I'm not sure, and I will tell you, I think a lot of the stuff in the book, in Original Sin, is going to be very, very hard for Democrats to answer for. I think they're going to be asked to answer for it, even in spite of this diagnosis. So I just think that this is going to be a week where Joe Biden and his health and what his health was in office, and questions about the White House physician who in February of 2024, that basically a year ago, pronounced Joe Biden perfectly healthy. Now, of course, this nodule and this cancer could have grown in the last year. That happens. But there will be questions about whether this was couched in some way to say he was fine, even though he might not have been fine. All of this is going to come up. It is going to be a really difficult week, I think, for Joe Biden, in addition to the prostate cancer diagnosis, a really difficult week for him and his family and for the Democratic Party as they try to navigate beyond him while also saying, okay, what happened? Why didn't we do a better job of saying this guy can't stand for a second term? Why didn't we speak out more? Why were we complicit at some level? Some people very complicit, some people mildly complicit. Why were we complicit in all of this? That conversation is going to dominate this week. I will obviously be here bringing you the latest on all of it, but I wanted to bring you a video on Sunday night just so you could get the news and my first take and my first cut on the news. I hope you do a few things. I hope you subscribe to this channel. I'm constantly trying to bring you news and analysis about politics and why I think it matters or doesn't matter. I hope you like and comment on this video. That helps me get this kind of content out to more people. And I hope you tell a few friends about what I'm doing here. Independent journalism, independent of big media and billionaires, and independent from the two political parties, calling balls and strikes no matter what uniform the batter at the plate is wearing. All right, everyone, take care.